Welcome all sports fans and everyone across the nation. This is another episode of Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and we're going to break down this very sad episode that we're going to talk about. And of course, as you guys see from the thumbnail and of course from the screen right now, inside the NBA will be on its last season starting this year, 2024-25 season, and that'll be the last time there will be a show dealing with the NBA. So we want to give our condolences and our RIPs, man, as Warner Bros. Discovery, they could not match the offer that was given to Amazon Prime, $1.8 billion per year, and the NBA denied it. They tried a late matching on Wednesday, hoping that the NBA would stop a little bit and try and get with them to renegotiate the contract. And the NBA said due to certain reasons they couldn't match the offer and they had to decline or deny Warner Bros. Discovery, which is TNT, which is inside the NBA. So TNT will no longer be the station. It's going to be Amazon Prime. Pretty much it's going to take over for TNT starting after the 24-25 NBA season. And home of the NBA will be Amazon Prime. And that's very sad. Now, what am I getting at with this? Obviously, for obvious reasons, we're going to talk about what happened and what's going to transpire and how do we feel about it. Inside the NBA, with your host, the glue, Mr. Ernie Johnson, the Godfather, they call him, right? Kenny the Jet Smith, number 2. You know what I'm saying? We all know about Kenny. He does his thing. Charles Barkley came in there, and Charles Barkley is probably more famous for being a celebrity than an NBA player celebrity. That makes sense, right? And of course, they added Shaq just, a little over about, 10 years ago. And they have fit so well together. And this is what I'm getting at. I am a sucker. I'm a huge sucker for old head versus old head conversation. And what am I getting at? What I mean, when I talk about old head versus old head conversation, old people talking in general, whether it is intellectual, whether it is, speaking of life, speaking of truth, speaking of facts, it's something about when old folks talk to each other, whether it's comical, funny, they always bring out the best because they lived their life. There's a bunch of knowledge into whatever they're speaking on. So if they're trying to be funny, it's usually extra funny. If they're trying to give you some insight of life, it's usually worth it to listen. If they're trying to be intellectual, like smart, most of the time it's worth it. Not everybody's smart. You can be old and still be dumb. That makes sense. Let me bring the camera down a little bit for you guys. All right, here we go. But yeah, and so I'm a sucker for conversations, and I can sit down for hours and listen to 2+ older people talk about life, talk about funny things, talk about just success, failures, because they have a bunch of knowledge they're holding on to. They've known for, who knows? When I say old heads, I mean 50 and older, right? 50 plus. They've been they've been alive for a long time. And usually when old folks, or old heads, we call them, they talk to you or talk to amongst each other, they're usually spitting facts about their life and their way of life from back in the day. And I'm always intrigued into hearing those conversations because for the most part, it's usually true. And they're trying to educate the younger generation like myself and those younger than me. That's what I felt like every night watching Inside the NBA. I don't know about you guys, but these old heads were like my uncles. I would consider them in some crazy form or fashion my uncles, right? And we would talk sports, and then we would get funny, and then we'll talk about life, and we'll talk about goofball stories, and it was always entertaining and funny because you knew that, uncle gonna say this, and other uncle gonna react this way, right? And we all knew our uncles. We're talking Ernie, Kenny, Charles, and Shaq. We knew that they were four different personalities, but could entertain in four different ways while saying the same thing, and we all can get it. And I loved it for that. And we all know I'm not the only one that most times, especially with a bad NBA game, we would watch inside the NBA. We would turn off this bad game and we'll wait till about whatever time you were living in, whether it's West Coast, Central Time, or East Coast. We would wait for the game to be over with so that we could just listen to the Godfather, Ernie Johnson and company, break down the NBA. It was like no other. And this is surely going to be something I'm going to miss. Now, yes, this is a TV series. For those who don't know, that's why they get nominated for a bunch of awards, because they are still a TV series. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like home. It really felt like they were at my house, at my crib, my living room, my dining room, and we're just talking. And we're talking, especially if you're a sports head like myself. You felt that. And no other show for that long. And this was a good show before Shaq. I wasn't really into it when it was Ernie and Kenny. I would see it a little bit, but I didn't really get into it. When they brought in Charles, things really changed. Entertainment value went up as well, and I really got into it. I'm 35 years old, and I feel like I've been watching these guys since I was about 20. So we're talking about 15 years right there. You know, and honestly, you know, it hurts my heart. It feels like a piece of me is going to leave, because no matter what, these guys aren't going to all get together. Ernie already he said he is blood in, blood out TNT, or Turner Warner or Warner Brothers Discovery. He is all about that. His father was it. He's a Johnson. He's blood in, blood out TNT. So he's not going anywhere. Charles Barkley said, basically he was saying, if it ain't TNT, I am not going on TV after 24, 25. I'm done. Shaq, Kenny might want to join shows, but I believe in today's podcast-driven world, social media, I know Shaq and Charles and Kenny are going to find their way on social media and rock it. Even Ernie Johnson's going to stay with his... I'm assuming him and Charles will find a way to do a new podcast. I don't know if the Steam Room is correlated with TNT or not, and how does that work? I have no idea. But I gotta imagine, although Charles is not going to be on TV anymore as a personality, he's going to still be on the podcast or whatever and do his thing. And you know, Shaq, the dude never sleeps. I don't know how Shaq does these million things every single year, but he finds a way to keep going. That train is rocking and rolling. And then, of course, Kenny's the man. Kenny's the man. Low key, Kenny's always if you look at like their statures, Kenny's always like the all ball out. But in reality, I think Kenny was one of the main guys. You need a Kenny Smith for the show. And if you guys have not watched their show on HBO Max about Inside the NBA and how these guys got together, man, please, I highly recommend that. If you have HBO Max, please go. I think it's called Inside the NBA, or just type Inside the NBA, and you'll see it's a 4-part series talking about all four gentlemen and how they got this show rocking and rolling. It's awesome. I watched it a couple years ago, and I think I might watch it again, man, because it was that damn good. But definitely gonna miss this show. I don't know about you guys, man. This is the end of the era. It feels, I mean, no one's passed away, but it feels like somebody died. You know, it feels like they're taking away a piece of me that I just can't get back, because not only was the knowledge there, we knew about the basketball insights as all three gentlemen, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaq, they all played great roles in the NBA. Kenny was the off the bench guy or the ultimate role player, I would say that, in championship form. Shaquille O'Neal, 4-time NBA champion, and Charles Barkley, one of the best ever. You know, top 50 to this day, one of the best ever to play this game. So we know about these guys, man, and they brought a great amount of knowledge, X's and O's. But then on top of that, the entertainment was there. Who knew Charles was so funny when they first got? They had no clue Charles was like that. I don't think Charles knew that he could put his own personality into this, you guys. If you guys are still watching, by the way, please hit that like button and subscribe to Uneducated Sports Talk. Before I get out of here, please hit that subscribe button if you guys are loving what you're seeing, man. But I like the effort, the valiant effort. I don't know why Warner Brothers Discovery didn't try harder earlier to match this deal. I don't know the ins and outs of everything. I have no clue. But I do believe they were a tad bit late, like at the last minute. Oh, I know you're dating no girl. I know we kind of broke up, man, but can we try it one more time? And then the girlfriend's like, no, I got somebody else. You're late now. I mean, if you'd have told me a month ago, we could have been kicking it and tried something else, but no, it's too late. I'm with such and such. And it felt like that kind of rush movement. And it is a disservice because we all got accompanied and we all got welcomed to TNT. It is kind of sucks though that Amazon Prime, which is basically an app, you have to install an app now, a streaming service. A streaming service now, you have to pay extra money on top of cable, right? If you have cable, now you got to pay, and some folks just don't have that. Let's just keep it real. I mean, there's people like myself, and I'm blessed to have the kind of fees to have all these apps and all these streaming services. But then there are some folks who just aren't blessed to have the type of kind of money for, streaming services. And you say, oh, well, it's only like, I don't know, $9 to $11 a month, but when you add it up by 12, that's $120 something plus dollars that some people just cannot use for the year. They can hold that down, so that's very unfortunate. But I'm very curious to know where these guys go. I have no doubt all four men will continue to be successful in their endeavors. I have no doubt about that. The podcast game needs them. Social media, we need them to speak their knowledge because I'm curious to know who's the broadcast team now. Not broadcast team, but who is the inside the NBA, the next inside the NBA, right? Who is that team going to consist of? Because they better bring the fire because it's going to be hard. These dudes won Emmy after Emmy after Emmy. This is a TV series, basically, that's ran for 20 plus years, and we've enjoyed it. I mean, I sat there, crap game one, crap game number two, and I watched all of Inside NBA because they would make fun about how bad the games were. And then we could talk extra besides basketball. And they knew it. The chemistry was there. It is going to be tough to find 3 or 4 new guys, right? There's not going to be another Ernie Johnson out there. Damn sure not going to be another Charles Barkley out there. You can find Shaqs and Kennys all across the world, but, to have a guy like Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley, that's very tough to even emulate those guys in a certain fashion. So very sad to see it go, man. And look, they're going to get their flowers, their roses, their gardens, all the smell goods. This final hoorah of the season, I will be there. I'll make sure I'm tuning in just about every single night when they're on, whether it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, mainly Thursdays, obviously. But when they're on, I'm trying to watch it, man, because you're not going to see this kind of chemistry for this longevity ever again. Ever again. Not in my lifetime, I believe. It's going to be hard to find these 4 gentlemen who spent a decade plus with each other, making us laugh, making us cry, making us happy, making us, emotionally to where it's not just basketball, but it's almost like you chilling with your uncles, chilling with your pops, chilling with your kinfolk. It felt like that, and just to get all that into one for an hour TV show, you're not going to get that again, man. And, RIP once the season's officially over, but I would love to see how much praise, how many accolades these guys get, how many special guests come on there and give their love and support to these 4 gentlemen because they deserve it from start to finish. So I'll be with this Inside NBA for the rest of this particular season, for 24-25 season. And it just sucks to see them go because you don't get this kind of love affair, and it's almost like I'm just a sucker for old folks spitting knowledge to me. Like I said, whether it's comical, whether it's insightful, whether it's serious, when they always speak with some kind of passion. And like I know when Charles Barkley says something, he means it. When Kenny Smith says something, he means it. When Ernie Johnson says something, he means it. When Shaq says most things, he means it. But Shaq had his role too, man, and they all played it to perfection. It's gonna be sad to see these guys go, man. Yo, in the comments, let me know, how do you feel about Inside the NBA coming to an end? Please let me know in the comments down below, you guys. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to Uneducated Sports Talk. Hit the notification bell to be notified every time me and my co-host PJ go live for our live commentary and play-by-play and much, much, much more that we do from our channel. So I am your host, Carlos Clayton. This is another episode of Uneducated Sports Talk. Love you guys, all sports fans. You guys know what time it is. Stay smart, stay educated. Peace. Love you, mama. Love you guys as well.